Hello and welcome back to the Destiny Global Facebook page, where we come live to you every couple of weeks with success tips for your personal and professional life. We are a company, if you are new to us, we have a passion for seeing you rise up out of the mediocre, from being stressed and broke and struggling and striving, to help you paying off all of your debt, including your mortgage, to helping you have more fulfilling relationships, having more fun in your life. Of course, making more, because if you've got to work, why not make more than make less? And so tonight, we're going to be giving you 6 steps to avoid burnout and overwhelm. And I have been in business for, that's a really long time, over 20 years, and been through lots of seasons of making millions of dollars, starting off broke, coming from poverty, failing, having businesses fail, having businesses succeed wildly, helping people come from failing to succeeding wildly. And one of the things that is a trap and that a lot of people can get caught up in if you're not careful is burnout and overwhelm. Because you're wanting to succeed, you're wanting to make more, you're wanting to get your business off the ground, you're wanting to get to a place where you can travel around the world and take your dream vacations. And if you're not careful, you can wind up saying things like I used to, that I can sleep when I'm dead. I believed I could just run on very little sleep and be sleep optional, that I could work 80 to 90 hours a week until I got this thing going, and then I could take some time off. And what wound up happening is I burned the candle at both ends, and I wound up completely burnt out. I wound up not wanting to get out of bed. I wound up sleeping and stressed and anxiety and all those things. And so I want to give you my top 6 tips so that you can build an amazing business. You can have amazing relationships. You can have a big bank account. You can travel around the world without sacrificing your sanity, without sacrificing, feeling like you're crazy, feeling like you're a chicken running around with your head cut off. Anybody ever been there? I cannot be the only one. And so let's go ahead and let's get started. By the way, if you are new here, this is a live video, so you can comment down below. You can give the little hearts, the little likes, the little thumbs up. If anything you hear tonight helps you, share the video. Listen, we live in a world that really struggles with burnout and overwhelm, and it keeps people on the sidelines versus in the game. And so I have no doubt if you hear anything that helps you, that it could also help somebody else. So let's jump in. Number 1, set clear boundaries when it comes to work. And this is something a lot of, especially new entrepreneurs or people that are trying to get out there in the working world, trying to make their name for themselves, trying to build something that we can lack in the beginning. We think, I'm just going to work a lot. I'm just going to, do it all. And then once I get there, then that's when I'll take off. That's when I'll take a day of rest. And so define what hours you're willing to work. What are your work hours? Just like any successful business does. Walmart has hours. Nordstrom has hours. Macy's has hours. PetSmart, Office Supply, whatever business you're looking at, they have set hours. And so you're the same way. What are your hours that you work? What are your hours that you're open? Even if you work from home, even if you're the boss, or if you're an employee, what are the hours you're at work? And when you have those hours, you work. You're not on your phone. You're not making travel arrangements unless that's part of your job. You're not, looking at pictures of Bora Bora, your dream vacation. You are working during those hours. And then when you work during those hours, on the hours you're not working, you're off. So set clear hours. Again, making sure you have time to work, go all in there, and then you also have time to unwind. Also setting clear boundaries with delegating tasks. If you already have, I want you to imagine you go to a buffet and, you go up to the buffet and you get a plate and you fill the plate, but then you keep seeing things that you want on the buffet. Well, your plate can only hold so much. And if you keep piling your plate with stuff just because it looks good and just because you can and just because you want it, before you know it, stuff's going to start toppling off of your plate. And it's a very similar thing that happens in life. If you keep adding things to your plate, some things are going to fall off. Some balls are going to get dropped. And so make sure you communicate your limits to family, spouse, kids, colleagues, your boss, because the last thing you or your boss, you or your spouse, you or your kids want is to say you're going to do something and then not have the capacity or the ability to be able to do it because you're already doing too many things. So set clear boundaries. Number one there though is define your work hours and stick to them. All right. Number two, prioritize what's important. Prioritize what's important. So often when I work with people on this, when I meet with clients who are burnt out or they're stressed out or they're overwhelmed and they're struggling with this, they're in this place of burnout. They're in this place of sometimes burnout, if not dealt with, can lead to depression. They're in this place. One of the things that they're doing is they're always doing too many things. They're doing things. We live in a world where we're taught that being selfless is almost like a badge of honor. Being selfless, doing all these things for other people is something that we should all be doing. And I'm going to tell you it's not. You've got to be a little selfish. You've got to consider your emotional, mental state of being. You've got to consider, am I doing too many things? Am I doing things that I don't have time to do or that don't line up with my future goals, where I want to be? And so it's really looking at all the things you're doing and saying, is this a priority? Does this line up with where I want to go, with who I want to be, with the life I want to have? And if it doesn't, it's doing this thing called ruthless removal. So it's going through and looking at all the things you're doing and prioritizing, is this going to get me to where I want to go or not? And if it's not, it's removing it, because you only have 24 hours in a day. We all only have 168 hours in the week. So what's the difference between those crushing it and those not? Those that are making millions and those that are not, is the ones that are making millions are really good at prioritizing what they do with their time. They're really good at taking the things that don't matter off of their plate and either just removing them or delegating them to somebody else. All right. Avoiding multitasking, it reduces efficiency, it increases stress, it increases the amount of mistakes and balls dropped. All right. Number three, take regular breaks. Take time off. So I am a believer in the Bible, and so I follow what the Bible says about work 6 days, take one. So for my formula is I have my hours that I work, my clear defined boundaries, my hours I work, my hours I'm off, right? I have a schedule. And during the hours I'm working. During the hours I'm off, well, sometimes I'm still working because I'm a mother, a wife, and I take care of our house. So there's still some work, but outside of work. Anyway, so I work 6 days and I take 1 day of rest. And in the very beginning, I was super hard-headed on this. Like, I just did not. And I thought I don't need to take the day of rest. I've got stuff that needs to get done. And when I get all this done and I get this business to the place, then I'll take a day of rest. But friends, there was always something that had to get done. So I found myself in this cycle for years where I wasn't giving myself time or space to unplug, to unwind, to relax, to recharge. And it just created this cycle of stress, which led to burnout and overwhelm. You can only burn the candle at both ends for so long before you wind up in a place where it's like, F it! This doesn't matter. I'm not happy. And that's what we want to avoid. So practice self-care take regular breaks. I just gave you guys the next one. Take regular breaks, even inside of the day. One of the breaks that I take is I actually eat lunch. I used to eat lunch while I was working. Now I actually take, whether it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes, and go outside and sit in the sun, which is really great for you. And it has all kind of health effects and all the things, but eat your lunch, take a walk, read a book, whatever it is, but make sure you have breaks built in throughout the day. Make sure that when you are off, that you disconnect from work. So when you are taking a break, you're not still checking email. You're still checking your text. You're still checking your phone calls. Like, it's okay if someone can't reach you half the day because you're out of the office, right? Like if I call my dentist office to book an appointment and it's outside of office hours, like I know I've got to call back during office hours. Your clients know this too. Same thing during lunch. I know if I call my pediatrician's office during lunch for my kids, they've got an hour break. So I've got to call before lunch break or after lunch break. It's just really that simple. And they've been successfully in business for a very long time. So take regular breaks. Number 4, practice self-care, taking care of you. Listen, you are the MVP of your game, the game of life. You are the MVP. You are the star player. And if your star player is overworked, overwhelmed, or injured, unfocused, how well is your game of life going to go if your star player, you, is not in the game, right? So it's taking care of yourself, getting the right amount of rest, at least 7 hours a night of sleep, making sure that whether working out, a lot of people that work out have shown to have less stress and make more money. They actually have more sex and they're happier. This is what the scientists have said, social scientists, all right? So there's that. Making sure that you're, like I said, you're getting enough sleep, staying hydrated, like doing little things to practice self-care, whether it's, whatever it is that unwinds you, going outside, taking a walk. For me, getting a massage. If you're an animal lover, spending time with your animals, spending time with your kids, whatever it is that fills up your cup, spending time every single week doing that, making sure you're taken care of, making sure, if you look at an NFL team, they spend a lot of money taking care of their players because the state of their players determines how they play in the game. So if your game is Monday through Friday or Monday through Saturday, how you take care of yourself determines how you're going to play inside of the game of life. All right. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. Number 5, we've got 2 left. Cultivate a positive perspective. Perspective is everything. It literally is everything. And so shifting your perspective from one of perfection to one of progress. So it's not about perfect action. It's about, so often it is natural to focus on what's going wrong, how slow things are going, where we're not. And listen, you might not be where you want to be, but so many of you, you're not where you were. Like you've made progress towards your goals. You've made progress. And so it's celebrating the progress that's being made. It's celebrating the fact that you're making progress. And even though you're not where you want to be, you're not where you were. Looking at challenges as opportunities to learn and grow instead of the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Without problems, you literally have no opportunity to grow. They're not obstacles to stop you. They're obstacles that you're supposed to learn from. All right. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, it's just really working to be positive. It's working to put everything in perspective. It's, whenever I face a problem that seems huge, it's like, you know what? Somebody didn't wake up this morning. Like this is really a small problem. A couple weeks ago, about a month ago now, our daughter got her tooth in a complete freak accident. A board hit her mouth and knocked her 2 front teeth out. And it was like, as stressful as that seemed in the moment, as big as that seemed in the moment, it was like, you know what? I'm really thankful this didn't hit her eye. I'm really thankful it was only her teeth. I'm thankful that we have the means and the money to be able to deal with this. And so it was finding all the thankfuls in that versus freaking out and being like, why did this happen? How did this happen? What the heck? Because there's always a perspective to everything. So it's cultivating a positive perspective in any situation. And if you have a positive perspective, it's really hard to have a negative life. And also the flip side of that, if you have a negative perspective, it's really hard to have a positive life. They go hand in hand. All right. And our last and final one, and this one's so important. Like I could literally do a success tip just on this one, really on any of these, but this one is so huge. And it's who you hang out with. Who you hang out with really also helps determine overwhelm and burnout. It also determines your perspective. It can determine your self-care. It can determine whether you take regular breaks. It can determine what you prioritize. It can determine your boundaries. Like literally, there's a saying, you might have heard it, and it's if you show me your 5 closest friends, I'll show you your future. And it's the whole birds of a feather flock together idea. And so who you hang out with matters. Who you're surrounding yourself with matters. How they think, how they talk, what they do, how they live their life, their character, their honor, their work ethic, their financial situation, what kind of marriage they have, what kind of parents they are or not, what kind of morals and ethics they practice inside of their business. And so it really is a huge decision on who you choose to spend your time in. Do the people you hang out with support you or not? Do they pull you up or do they drag you down? Do they believe in you? Do they challenge you? Or are you like the biggest fish in your pond of friends? Like you're like the biggest, baddest, like you surround yourself with people that are a little bit less than you versus that are a little bit better than you. One's going to bring you up. One's going to keep you right where you're at. Do you hang out with people that complain? And after you're done hanging out with them, you feel like, oh my gosh, like, whew, I need a break from the conversation, right? Or are you hanging out with people that when you leave the room, you feel lifted up? And so all of us, it takes intention, right? Because there's sometimes where we outgrow relationships. There's sometimes where, a high school friend, you're growing, but they're not. And if you don't grow together, you're always growing apart. This is why my husband and I, even before we were trainers with Destiny Global, we were clients. We were growing. We were growing with each other. We were growing with, like, my mom and dad we brought to events. Our friends we brought to events. Why? Because we knew that we wanted people in our lives that were also growing because our environment mattered. We took it very, very seriously. And it's still the same thing. Even though now we aren't necessarily in the seats, we're still learning. We're still growing. We're still making sure we're surrounding ourselves with people that fit our future, not with people that fit our past. And that is a huge, you could literally take that one and leave and be like, okay, I'm done. Thank you, Carmen. You're welcome. And so these 6 tips, I promise you, this is how I stay out of overwhelm. I stay out of burnout. And I keep myself in a place of being productive, of being mentally, physically, emotionally healthy is by doing these 6 things. And so for those of you that really are serious about that 6th and last one, which is you're serious about who you hang out with and you're like, man, I really need to up my game there. Like I need to level up who I'm hanging out with. Do what we did. In fact, in 6.5 weeks, we have First Steps to Success coming up in Houston, Texas. We're going to be at the Royal Sonesta. First Steps to Success. This is where hundreds of people gather from all over the United States, sometimes from around the world, both virtually and in person. But in person, this is where you have a chance to hang out with, to rub elbows with, to talk with people in the room that are like-minded, other people in the room that are refusing to settle, people that are looking to level up, not only inside of their personal, but their professional life, people that are growing, getting better, people that aren't just staying the same. And environment is everything. I'm going to be there. We're going to laugh together and we're going to be able to spend 3 days growing together to not just talk about the future we want, but to go out and build it. And so I want to give you a personal invitation. If you don't have your ticket already to join us, we will put the link down below to join us for First Steps to Success. Spend 3 days with us. Watch what happens in your life. And whether you've never been to an event or whether you're seeing this and you've been to events in the past, but you haven't been, I want to invite you to come or to come back, to put yourself in a position that's going to challenge you and to grow. For some of you, for the first time, and for some of you, for the first time in a long time. And I cannot wait to spend those 3 days with you and watch what happens in your life as you start to flock by choice with a different crowd. And so we will be back. And you can listen every single week here on the Destiny Global Facebook page. On Thursdays, there's Coffee with Ken's. We have different reels and tips from the trainers. We have all different kinds of things that go on right here on the Facebook page, alerts, announcements, and these success tips every couple of weeks. So thank you so much for watching. We will be back in another 2 weeks with another success tip. Make sure you like the page. Make sure you're watching for those things, and we will see you then. Thanks for being a part of the community. We're proud to be on this journey with you.